All right, so far then we've gone through the beginning temperature one, then we changed the temperature one, then we did the letter grade. All right. I think I'm missing one, but the point is what's left is the sum and then to look at the one that I gave you the code for. So what I want you to do is do a file open, and I want you to open up the one that is called sum numbers. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to enter a number between 1 and 100. All right. Let's say I enter 87. Made that up. Then it'll tell me if I add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, imagine I just kept going, plus 87, what's the sum? Does that make sense? That's what we're trying to do. Now, you might look at that and go, I get it, but that's a stupid program. The idea is to teach you how to do certain things. It's not whether the program is stupid or not. All right? And again, I will tell you that let's, by the time you're in your 4th semester, you're going to learn, you will, how to write Android programs. And if you want, in class, we're going to make a couple simple games.
Okay, actually, question.
But let me just finish. Okay, so you make this simple game, and you're like, okay, I get it, but it's stupid. Okay? Yeah, and then you find out that the guy who made it made $1 million with it. Because a lot of people have little kids who will pay $1 for a stupid game on their phone so they can give it to their kids, right? Okay, what's your question?
How am I going to make an Android app on...
You can write them in. You can, I believe Android Studio, you can use it on a Mac, as far as I know. All right. All right, so look on the screen. So the minimum number we're going to have is 1. The maximum number we're going to have is 0. This time we'll actually ask the user, do you want to run the program again? Yes or no? Okay? So we'll keep this first char. We'll keep that. Okay. So we're going to come in here. We're going to ask them to enter a number. That's what we're doing right here. So we're going to say current number equal, we'll do a parse int and a prompt that says, please enter a number from 1 to 100. Okay? And we'll default it to 100. Doesn't matter what you default it to. All right? So we just put in this line. That line. All right? I'm going to put this that we're going to do next over a couple lines. All right, so put in this line, please. This time we don't have a check. We don't have a check for 999. So we only have two things. You put in something invalid, or you put in a number between 1 and 100. Does all that make sense? All right? So this is going to handle the case where you put in either a blank or a number that's less than 1 or a number that's greater than 100. Does that make sense? So that's the code we're going to put in there. So we're just going to say alert. Not there. Right there. We're going to say alert. Invalid input. Please re-enter. Okay. We'll put that in as an alert, and then we'll ask them to do this again. Look on the screen. See this? We're taking that same line, and we're putting it in here again. That'll handle the case. That will handle the case where if we put in something that's invalid. All right. So I'm just going to put a comment here. You don't have to, but you can. Input was invalid. All right. Now I want to do this. See that? But I don't want to write a lot of code to do that. I want this computer to do it for me. 4 lines. 4 lines. 2 of those 4 lines are curly braces. So, var LCV equals 1 LCV less than or equal to current number plus LCV. Input was valid. Sum of numbers plus equals LCV.
What is LCV?
I'm going to go over that in just a minute. You can, this is the one time with this variable right here, that's the one time it's considered acceptable in computer languages to use ABC or XYZ. I use LCV because that value is what's referred to as a loop control variable. And if you take the first 3 letters from loop control variable, you get, there you go. You don't have to call it that. That's what I named mine. In English, this says set our loop control variable to 1 to start with. As long as it's less than or equal to whatever number we put in here, run this, then come back and add 1 to it. So if we put in 87, that's going to do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, all the way to plus 87. Does that make sense? That's what this is doing. This is a shortcut, just so you know. This is the same thing as saying sum of numbers equals sum of numbers plus LCV. They do the same thing. Those two do the same thing. So why did I do it that way? Because it's less typing. That's why. All right, now we're ready to print the output. So we're down to here. And I'm going to put in an alert here. And that alert is going to say the sum of the numbers from 1 through current number is sum of numbers. I'll push this up a bit. And all that's going to be left in a minute is for us to run the program check. So imagine we put in 87. This should say the sum of the numbers from 1 through 87 is, let's say it's 3,000. I don't know what it is. I don't care. Now we've got about 6 or 7 more lines. I'm going to write these. So first char equals prompt do another sum, and we'll default it to yes. First char equals first char dot char. This looks really weird, but we'll go over it in a minute. Dot to uppercase. If first char not equal to y, again equal false. That's it. So go ahead and put that in and we'll go over it in just a minute. Hopefully you understand this. Eventually, we're going to get rid of these prompts and these alert boxes. We're going to put the JavaScript right into our HTML where we'll have text boxes and stuff like we've been working on, and it'll look a heck of a lot nicer. But for now, this works fine. You're getting the logic down. That's what matters. Well, again, you're going to have to figure out on yours how to bring up your developer tools. All right? So I've saved mine. I'm going to try running it, see what happens. Notice mine doesn't work. It's going right to the end, which means I missed something. So I'm hitting F12. Hopefully, eventually, it'll come up when I hit F12. Come on. There we go. And it's saying that in line 32, I'm missing a parenthesis on mine. Maybe you weren't, and maybe I was and you were not. Oh, see this? Look at that. I'm missing a parenthesis here. Look on the screen. I need 2 of them, and I need 2 of them there. So make sure on this line right here, it's line 32 for me, and on this one line here, it's 40 for me. Put 2 right parentheses on the end. That's the error that I make probably more often than any other. So in line 32, if you got the same line numbers as I do, and on line 40. Try to run it again. Okay, 1 through 100. The sum of the numbers from 1 through 100 is 50-50. That is correct. Run it again. Sure. 87. And it's 8878. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Wait a minute. Something's got to be wrong. Oh, no. Because when we put 100, 1 through 100, oh, look at that. It keeps adding. See that? Yep. Well, it's sort of, but I'm going to put in, no, I want to stop. Every time we start this up again, when we run it again, all right, when we do this and we're about to ask for a number, right here, we want to first come in, it's an error, and we want to set sum of numbers. In fact, let's do it where we should do it. Remember right down here where we print out the sum of numbers? See that? Right after we print it out, we're going to set sum of numbers back to 0. So right after the alert where you, oh, what happened there? Right after the alert where you print out the sum of the numbers from this through this, set sum of numbers equal to 0. It sort of is what you said, Maya. What it did was it added 1 through 100. It said it was 50-50. Then it did 1 through 87, and it added the 50-50 to that number. So it's going to just keep going. Now let's see if it's correct. So 100, 50-50, that's correct. Do I want to do it again? Yes. 87, 38-28. That looks much better. All right, how about yes, 1 to 10? I think that's 15. All right, no, it's not. I put 15 in there. So that's 120. Yes, 1 to 10. Yes, that's 55. Well, 1 to 5 is 15. There we go. It's working. How about when I put in bad stuff? So I'll put nothing in here. Invalid input, please re-enter. Put in garbage. Invalid input, please re-enter. I'm going to put in a number less than 1. How about 0? Invalid input. I want to put in a number greater than 100. How about 101? Invalid input. So it's handling our bad stuff. Make sense? All right. I don't want to go again. There we go. All right. So we have now gone over about 4 programs. Let's go over the last one. So the last one actually is in this folder. See this? I wrote the program for you. So we've got it in there. Open up both files in your editor, please. There's 2 files that are in there. Whoops. What the heck that did? So there's an index.html, and there's a sales.js. Here's the index. All right. Do you remember, I'm asking you this question, do you remember when I was going over arrays and I said it was like when I was at the apartment complex? So imagine these are 4 different apartment buildings. So this is building 1. And these are apartments 0, 1, 2, and 3. This is building 2 and apartments 0, 1, 2, and 3. Building 3, apartments 0, 1, 2, and 3. Building 4, apartments 0, 1, 2, and 3. And building 5, apartments 0, 1, 2, and 3. Does that make sense? Now, you've got to kind of imagine this because this is what they ask you to do. Look on the screen, please. First, what they're telling you is this is quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Quarter 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? So if you look at these numbers, look on the screen, please. This number right here, that number, that number, that number, that number, and that number are all quarter 1. Does that make sense? So the first thing you're asked to do is to add all the quarter 1 numbers. Then you're asked to add all the quarter 2 numbers. Then you're asked to add all the quarter 3 numbers. Then you're asked to add all the quarter 4 numbers. Does that make sense? Then each of these are a region. So imagine north, south, east, west, center. Then you're asked to add all of these. 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 So when you're going down, you're doing it by quarter. When you're going across, you're doing it by region. Does that make sense? Then finally, you're asked to add every one of these up and give 1 total. Okay? So why am I telling you that? Because look, we're going to go over the program in a second. Those are all of our quarters. That's the first column in each one of the rows. Then we do the regions. That's each one, and look at that. That should have said R1, not Q1, so that's stupid instructor. All right? And then that's the sum of everything. Okay? First, before we get started, please change this, because so I don't want it to be confusing for you. Look on the screen. I did a bunch of copy and paste on here. My fault for doing a copy and paste. See where it says this? And it's line 109. See where it says Q? Everybody see that? Change that to region. no, just put the word region. In fact, I'm going to go up to line 89. I'm going to change the Q to quarter. So on line 89, I've got the word quarter. And on line 109, I've got the word region. Why? Because I think it'll read a little better. Notice quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. See that? Now region 1, region 2, etc. And then total sales. Now, we're going to go over this. We'll spend a little bit of time on it. If you go, nah, on a 1 to 10, it's making sense, about a 3. That's good. We're going to have a whole chapter later in the book on arrays. Did you hear me? We're going to have a whole chapter. All right? So, what the heck are we even doing in here? Well, let's start with the comments. In this exercise, you're going to start with 5 arrays. That's what these are. This is exactly what's in that other file. I copied that and put it in here. All right? So this is the region 1 array. That's the region 2 array. That's the region 3 array. The region 4 array. And the region 5 array. Okay? This is the region 1 array, sales for quarter 1. This is the region 1 array, sales for quarter 2. The region 1 array, sales for quarter 3. And the region 1 array, sales for quarter 4. Does all that make sense? All right. Then we're doing summaries. As I mentioned, we're adding up these 5 numbers, and that becomes quarter 1. These 5 numbers, and that becomes quarter 2. These 5 numbers, and that becomes quarter 3. These 5 numbers, and that becomes quarter 4. That is this. Then we add across. These are the total sales for region 1, total sales for region 2, total sales for region 3, total sales for region 4, total sales for region 5. That becomes this. Then finally, we add everything, and that becomes this. All right? This is the kind of an example that really and truly probably won't make a lot of sense unless you spend some time looking at it. Okay? When you do your last test in here, your last test that you will take in here, you will be doing something along these lines. That's why I said for the author to show it to you now, wow. There's nothing wrong with showing it to you now at all. It's just that it was fairly complex. That's all. So look on the screen, please. We're going to go over the whole program. What are we doing? This, look on the screen. This is creating an array. It's got 4 things in it. Each one of those things has been predefined, preset to 0. Does that make sense? That's the quarters going down. Then this one is setting up another array. This is the one going across. If you look on the screen here, I'm not going to count these, but I know 4 times 5 equals 20, right? So there's 20 elements in that array. All right, this is going to add all 20 of them up. All right, this is the output string for quarters. This is the output string for rows. So we start with the quarters. What is that doing? Look at that code. That code is exactly what I showed you. It's adding these, then it's adding these, then it's adding these, then it's adding those. That's what that code is doing. Remember that when you work with computers, you start counting with 0. All right? So it's going from 0 to less than 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. 4 of them. Why? Because how many quarters do we have? 4 quarters, right? Quarter 0, quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. Look on the screen, please. See where I say this? If I didn't say that, it would, instead of saying quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, it would say quarter 0, quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. which would be confusing because managing types don't typically understand that computers start counting at 0. All right? So that, again, is going to add our quarters. It's going to add vertically. Then we print it out. Then we do the same thing, but horizontally. Again, 4 times. Why? Because we have 4 rows, but we have 5 columns. So this right here, this loop, is what I told you before. It's adding these, then it's adding these, then it's adding these, then it's adding these, then it's adding these. And it's putting the results into region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, and region 5 totals. All right? Oops, I don't want that. Then it adds everything. Now, what I want you to get out of this, if you look, do you notice this says LCV? People find that confusing. What the hell does LCV mean? It means the first time through there, it's a 0. The next time through there, it's a 1. The next time through there, it's a 2, etc. All right? This is a placeholder for whatever the current value of LCV, which again means loop control variable, whatever it is. All right? But notice on this one, we don't do that. We put it over here. Because in the first case, we were adding vertical columns, and in the second case, we're adding horizontal rows. All right? And then finally, in the last one, look at the difference. We are using an array here and here. We are using an array here and here. We are using an array here, not here. How many total sales do we have? 1. How many regions do we have? All right, that's sales. So how many sales do we have? All right, by region, 5. How many regions do we have? All right, etc. So again, it's, are you adding horizontally? Are you adding vertically? Or are you adding everything? And if you can look at that and say, well, it sort of makes sense to me, that's where you should be. All right? Our book gave you like 3 pages in this chapter on arrays. Then they throw something out there that I wouldn't give you for about 3 or 4 more tests. So I don't know why the author did that.
Is this going to be on the test?
No, there'll be nothing like this on the test. All the ones, there's 2 problems on the test. They will be more like all the other ones that we have done. All right? So again, remember, I won't be here tomorrow. All right? That door will probably be open. I know that Mr. Corrigan typically likes that when I'm gone. He likes the door open. You know, and I'll tell him through. No. Last year, when I had my medical problems, we had a sub for me for the week. But if it's one day like that, they typically don't do it. If I was going to be gone more than...
Luke said he'd be here too.
Yeah, Luke is planning on coming. I'll remind him again. He's planning on being here. Friday, I'm going to tell him to come in a little later because I'm going to do a little bit of lecturing first because we lose a day this week with me gone. All right, but he will be here part of the day on Friday, probably at 10, and he will be here the whole period tomorrow. Yes. And you know, you know this, or just use the guy. He even told me, he said, I love answering questions. Got any questions? And you didn't see this. I showed it while you were on break, not today, but Keegan has seen this. I just wanted to show you. Where is it? This is my copy of Pike Lincoln that I went and converted that. They actually had a fire there a couple years ago, so I went and found This is from them, Pike Lincoln making a comeback. And I couldn't find any good pictures on their website, so I went out to Pexels and I typed in high school students, and I used those. All right. This stuff I took off their website. I don't want you to just sit there and make it look exactly like the one we did for Rankin, except you change the text and the pictures. I want you to put your own stamp on it, so to speak. All right? Questions on that? All right, so again, tomorrow, you're here, I'm not. Thursday will be the test. Whole period. All right? I'm going to give you now I'm going to wait till next week to give you the 2 written tests, the ones for 2 and 3. We'll do one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, or one on Monday and one on Tuesday. All right. Just so you know this, the next 2 chapters that we cover are 4 and 5. In chapter 4, you'll learn how to take the programs you were doing and break them down into units. We talked about that before. They're called functions. It's not hard to do. We're going to do that. Chapter 5 is on debugging. What I am going to do for your next test, which won't be until at least the end of next week and possibly the week after that, you are going to get an entire program that I've created that I'm going to put errors in. You have to find the errors and fix them and make the program run. That will be part of your test. You will be writing one program, and then you will be getting a program with errors in it. I will tell you how many errors there are, but I won't tell you at all where they are. And a couple of them I'm going to try to make really hard, just so you know. Not because I want you to get them wrong, but they're the kind of errors you're going to make. So if you can find them, then you'll know exactly how to solve them. A lot of times it'll be something like, well, you didn't put a semicolon there. You spelled it one way here and you spelled it one way there. It'll be something like that. All right? All right, so the rest of the period then is yours.